That's my pal right here.
This is Eric Braden. He is a Texas rancher and Army veteran whose political activism in 2020 and 2021 apparently caught the attention of the January 6th committee. As of January 2023, the committee concluded its work, but in March of 2022, Braden received a subpoena to deliver documents and appear for a deposition. Braden notably did not attend January 6th in Washington, D.C., but he did speak out at an armed Stop the Steal rally a month earlier in Atlanta, Georgia.
So help me God! So help me God!
The situation we're in is a situation of treason. There's only one thing in the Constitution that it states about treason. There's only one punishment for treason in our Constitution. One. And it is in our Constitution. The punishment for treason is death. That is the only punishment for high crimes with treason.
A very brief portion of that clip was used in the June 21st, 2021 January 6th committee hearing after the subpoena had already been delivered.
The punishment for treason is death.
The state pressure campaign and the danger it posed to state officials and the state capitals around the nation was a dangerous precursor to the violence we saw on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol.
Mere days after January 6th, Braden was also among the first to lead a rally supporting January 6th defendants as well as Ashli Babbitt, who was shot dead inside the Capitol.
They only broke laws because the D.C. police didn't do their job.
Okay.
That's it. People died because they didn't do their job.
With the committee's conclusion, they released some, but not all, of the evidence they collected. Among their released transcripts, they asked 4 different interviewees about Braden: Nick Feuntes, Michael Lee Wells, Ryan Kelley, and Kelly SoRelle. However, they never interviewed Braden, who ultimately did not show up in the committee's final report. While working on research for an upcoming book project, I had the opportunity in September to hear Eric Braden's side of the story, and why his attorneys got the subpoena quashed. Here is that interview, uncut.
Here's a message that I got from the U.S. Marshal Office, essentially requesting me to meet them, and so that they could serve this paper. And I'll go ahead and play this.
Hello, Eric Braden. This is with the U.S. Marshal Service here in Texas. I'm trying to get a hold of you because I have a subpoena I need to serve you, just a piece of paper. It is not a warrant. It's just a piece of process that I have to hand deliver to you. I'm more than willing to meet you at the PD office today. We'd like to try to serve this to you today. Please give me a call back. Thank you.
And I don't fault the U.S. Marshal Service at all. They just got to do their job like that, you know. So
do you want to sort of tell me the story of what happened?
Well, I mean, talk about shocked. I had heard that there was people being subpoenaed that didn't have anything to do with J6 at all, and I was like, well, that's crazy. You know, they're basically harassing people, and you know, I didn't have anything to do with J6, and I was like, well, that'd be crazy. You know, I even said that to a couple people. I was like, that'd be crazy if they tried to subpoena me for J6, you know, for my advocacy and my time that I've gone out there and spoke, you know, and done my events and so forth, and talked about Ashli Babbitt, you know, her murder. And yeah, it was just really strange. I got that message in an email. The first contact was an email, and I thought it was a joke. I thought, you know, I'd talked to a couple people, and I thought, somebody's playing a joke. They got my email. And, you know, so I was, you know, I just kind of dismissed it. And then I got a second email, and it was from Select Committee. And, you know, they were explaining, they were doing a follow-up, you know, to serve a subpoena. And I kind of thought twice. I was like, I have to look into this. I need to go ahead and have my attorney go ahead and, you know, find out what's going on. So they did the digging and made the contact and got the number, spoke to the individual that was attempting to send the subpoena, and still thought it was kind of a joke. Didn't understand why, or mistake somehow. And, basically, it wasn't a joke. I was speaking to him, and he was, no, we have a subpoena. We want you to, appear before Congress and speak about January 6th. And instantly I was like, well, okay, all right, whatever you say. And I contacted my attorney right away. He communicated and, wanted to know what I wanted to do. So, this attorney wasn't really versed in the federal stuff, federal subpoena stuff or anything like that for the J6. So essentially I contacted another attorney, John Pierce, and communicated with him and explained to him exactly what was going on. They were subpoenaing me to this select committee. There's no reason for them to do that. I have no information to give them. I don't know what to say to these people at all. I mean, there's no questions I could even answer. Why would they even be trying to subpoena me if they weren't just trying to harass me? So, he basically, we came to the conclusion that it could only be one thing. It could be the fact that I am, currently and will be being an advocate for J6 prisoners. People that, were not there to overthrow the government. They weren't there to attack police officers. The mother of Ashli Babbitt, getting justice for her daughter. All these things that I'm doing in that fashion must have put me on some kind of, list to be somewhat or somehow harassed by this committee. Just like many other people that were not even present at the Capitol, weren't even there, didn't even go to the Capitol. There was an influx of subpoenas that were just being thrown out at people, evidently. And what it was people that were activists, against Democrats or part of, different, groups and so forth that were, truth groups and all kinds of things, patriot groups. And, that maybe they were at the rally for Trump and then they didn't go to the Capitol at all. And they were even subpoenaed, So people that didn't have anything to do with what happened at the Capitol were being harassed. They were being intimidated. And I knew that. I knew that before they even tried to contact me. And when they tried to contact me, I thought it was a joke. And then I figured out it wasn't, and that they were actually trying to harass me and try to, and maybe possibly even entrap me.
And so your lawyer got it quashed, right?
We filed a process to appeal the subpoena, to quash the subpoena based on the fact that, we knew for a fact that I was not there. There was no information that I was going to even be able to provide the J6 committee at all that would assist them in any of their investigations. There was just nothing I really had to add or tell them. It just wasn't going to happen. It was one of those things where even the attorney was explaining to me, even if you're not intending to say something that's not true, they can construe it that way, and then you could be charged, and now you get a criminal charge for, slipping or not saying something incorrectly, being led into an entrapment question, and you answer it wrong or whatever. So it's essentially it was a dead fish from the very beginning. It was not going to go anywhere. I wasn't going to be communicating with them in any kind of capacity. I didn't have anything to tell them anyway, other than the fact that I told people not to go. That's about all I can tell the committee, was that I knew it was a trap. I called it out. I called out the lack of security. I don't know what they would want to ask, but the only information that I would have had for that committee would be damning to their investigation. So, I don't know why they would have attempted to subpoena me, other than to cost me money, which it did, because I had to then afford an attorney to be able to communicate with them and attempt to quash the subpoena and all that. And that's not free, so they knew that every single person that they subpoenaed was going to have to purchase an attorney. That alone, that cost people good money. If they were actually going to get a good attorney like I did, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to have the proper, protection set up for that. So it cost me money, and they knew what they were doing. So they accomplished what they wanted to do. They intentionally harassed. They cost me money. They caused me a little bit of stress too, for, being upset about them even trying to attempt to try to talk to me and act like I knew something about J6. It was one of those things where I realized I had been lumped into some kind of like pool where somebody added my name and wanted them to come after me. Once again, like the FBI was told about this guy that was at J6. Why wasn't there? Why would he even have to ask me that? I mean, so evidently somebody was telling these people that I was at J6. That I was being identified as some person that was at that Capitol in the middle of all that crap, and I wasn't. So somebody was intentionally basically swatting me. This is the second occurrence. So it was the FBI the first time. Now it's the J6 Select Committee that is basically being sicked on me, because somebody didn't like me.
With it in mind that the J6 committee will sort of be on their way out the door by the time anybody sees this, what would be your sort of reflection of that whole, any other thoughts about the J6 committee?
I watched, I didn't really watch a whole lot. I saw, tidbits of it. The part where I saw that I was on there, on the J6 Select Committee, was where they take my quote out of context. They don't add what I say in there and why I say it. They completely twisted it and put it into some kind of extreme video propaganda. Okay. And, it's kind of like they can get away with defamation in so many different ways in all of this stuff. They can get away with the lies. I mean, there's been so many lies that have been called out, and so much falsified information that they put out there. It's been so damaging to the truth that they didn't only not do their jobs, but they did damage to the country, So they didn't accomplish what they were going in to do, what they were supposed to do by contract or by, their code or whatever they agreed to. They made it worse. They created a false narrative, almost a defamation to so many people. They kept out so much information. It was all one-sided. There was no real opening, balloon to what really occurred there that day. And I knew that they had no intention of taking any of my opinions and putting them into the process of their investigation. So I mean, there's only one option that it could have been, and that's for them to harass me. So that's not what the government's for, and that's what happens right now. But the government is not there for that. These committees are not there to harass people. They're there to get the truth behind what occurred, of whatever they're investigating. And there's just nothing that I had for them. I just didn't have anything. There's nothing that I could provide that would assist them in any kind of way,